It's obvious that we're living in uncertain times, and the situation with COVID-19 outbreak continues to change by the minute. With that, WVBR wants to make sure we can learn more about our local businesses at this time, how they're doing, what they're changing, and what our audience should know. I'm Christopher Morales, and I'm welcomed now by Christian Olone, a regional manager for DMG Investments, which takes care and maintains Auden Ithaca here in our local area. You may have heard about them already on our airwaves, but we wanted to take this time to learn more about recent changes they've made and how they're adjusting to the whole situation. Well, Christian, thank you so much for joining me. I mean, when we first talked a few weeks ago, we were obviously living in a different world and, so much has changed. And first and foremost, I hope that you and your family are staying safe and healthy. Fortunately, I'm doing perfectly fine, or at the very least doing the best that we can. Particularly, we're trying to make sure that we're delivering the most up-to-date information and making sure that everyone understands today's health policies, but also trying to inform people about local businesses and how they are managing themselves right now. You're a regional manager for DMG Investments, which takes care of residents over at Auden Ithaca, and I guess I just wanted to have a conversation and kind of ask how you are doing, how's DMG Investments doing, how's Auden Ithaca doing, and just wanting to learn a little bit more about some of these new practices that you're implementing and rearranging logistics to make sure that everybody is doing what they have to do and being safe.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for taking the time to set this up, and I'm really glad to hear you're doing well. Myself and my family are also well, and we're very, very fortunate to be in this situation. I know that there's a lot of craziness happening right now, and at Auden Ithaca specifically, we're doing whatever we can to continue to provide support for our residents. It's primarily student population. We're trying to be that constant in a world that has a lot of uncertainties right now. We've been doing our best to, absolutely be compliant all the time with, local and state and federal, mandates and, best practices from the CDC. And, there's a lot of information swirling around. So what we've been able to do is first and foremost be a funnel of information and communication for our residents. We have an in-house task force that is, constantly looking at these situations and how they apply to our direct residents. And then we take all that information, boil it down, and send them, pointed resources and things that we are doing on site to ensure that we're doing our best to protect our residents and limit any potential exposure. So some of the things we've done just at the property level is, we've closed our shuttle service, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because it's one of our number one amenities, and we're so happy that we're able to provide it on a typical basis. We identified that area as one thing that we can do to really limit the potential spread. So we've done that. Along with that, we've also closed all of our amenities, except for the laundry room, which is an essential service in that area. So in that laundry room, in the facilities there, which are communal spaces, we're cleaning that at least 3 times a day. We have a posted schedule of when we're cleaning those areas and kind of commonly trafficked areas. And we also have provided hand sanitation areas in those spaces, so that way residents can come in and wash their hands at a sink or use hand sanitizer as they feel necessary. Those are 2 of the big things that we're doing. We've provided clear communication with resources from the CDC, from local, state, and federal governments. And then we've also been informing residents about what we're doing as well. And the practices we're doing, the efforts that we are engaging to make their living conditions as best as possible. We've moved from kind of in-person meetings to having virtual meetings. We're available via Skype or FaceTime, even some WeChat platform as well. Just anywhere that a student or resident might be engaging with, we're equipped and meeting them wherever they are. So of course, phone calls, emails, kind of our wheelhouse for communication. But those video chats are also sometimes that helps that person-to-person connection in a time where social distancing is quite a unique challenge that we've had to meet really quickly. And I know that it can be difficult to adapt to those things, but I feel really strongly that we live in a culture and a climate that adaptation to technology is rapid and productive. And yeah, we've been seeing that play out in this sort of mentality where it's just a shift of communication. And yeah, I think it's been really productive to be able to do that.
Well, Christian, I greatly appreciate hearing about that, making sure that you're exercising the necessary resources or perhaps blocking off some of the amenities, just to make sure you're taking into consideration the safety and well-being of everybody. I know it requires making tough decisions, and that's what a lot of businesses are doing across the board. I wanted to backtrack a little bit and talk a little bit more from a social standpoint, particularly with your staff and residents. Just how have they been reacting to this whole situation? If there's any new information, new assurances that you've been passing along to them to just make sure that everybody is being responsible and doing what they have to do in this situation?
Yeah, good question. So, I think if you're looking at this as like on a chart or some sort of timeline, the initial announcement and news that was coming out, especially regarding some of the colleges and universities, kind of nationwide, but also locally in Ithaca, as they closed down, there was definitely initial shock. I mean, there's no doubt. We had several conversations with residents who were students at some of those institutions that were really concerned about what the future might hold for them. I'm really happy to say that we were able to partner and have those conversations, and provide assurance that we are not going to close down. Our facility will continue to operate, and they can rely on us to have that housing situated. And we were able to have those conversations and like I said, provide that assurance, which I think really helped in a time where there was a lot of uncertainty going around. We were able to say, we're still here. We're here for you. And we're going to help you in any way that we can. As far as, making sure that everyone, is individually addressed, and cared for, unfortunately we can't guarantee the safety or security of any of our tenants. However, we take a personalized approach to each and every situation. I know that something that's on the forefront of everybody's mind is, how to, make rental payments or, even cover some basic costs in the near future as maybe job situations have changed, things like that. And that's where we really can activate our approach to customer service and really be empathetic. We've been having those conversations already, and, we're able to set up different payment plans, waive some fees. We want to have those conversations early on so we can meet those needs and give them, assurance that, they're not just a number, they're not just an apartment number, so to speak, or an account number somewhere. They matter to us. We want to help them through this really global issue that everyone's facing. We can be there to help meet their need. So we've been having those conversations and opening that dialogue via those clear communication pieces that we're sending out, but also just on an individualized basis, sometimes through our text messaging platform. As wherever students and residents are engaging with us, that's where we are, and trying to approach that in a personalized way.
Yeah, and I appreciate hearing that. I mean, when we first talked a few weeks ago, we talked about how Odd and Ithaca representatives were really trying to connect with their residents and potential residents to try to meet their needs in whatever ways possible, especially now when I guess whatever ways are allowed. But I kind of wanted to ask a different question, and it seems kind of weird in a way, but a lot of people are remaining optimistic, as I am. Obviously, this is a temporary disruption. We don't know for how long, but because of that, I've been tracking conversations with students. They're still figuring out and considering their future off-campus living situations. And so I wanted to ask you if those conversations are still being held by Odd and Ithaca, if students are still inquiring to you about considering Odd and Ithaca as a potential place for living off campus.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we have shifted our marketing to be more responsive to and adequate to the events that are swirling around us right now. So you probably have noticed if you follow us on social media, we've shifted everything to kind of a digital platform as far as giving virtual tours, things like that. And yeah, we're still leasing. We've actually were able to accommodate quite a few residents that were seeking immediate housing, given some sort of situation change with something else that they had going on. So we're absolutely still having those conversations. Regarding the fall move-in, yeah, we're in lockstep with that as well. Our leasing velocity really hasn't dropped off substantially, which is kind of an industry-wide reflection as well. I've been talking with some other industry leaders kind of on a nationwide conversation, not necessarily Ithaca specifically. And we've noticed that, across the board, there has been a slight slowdown, but really not to the extent that you may have expected. There's still a lot of optimism and positivity regarding the fall semester, and I don't see that dropping off. Everything that we've been seeing in the news really does have it being positively positioned for that fall semester still being in place. So, yeah, we're absolutely still leasing. Those conversations have changed a little bit. Obviously, what we're hearing from students has changed. They still seek that privacy option. They want to make sure that, they have their own room, they have their own space. So we're seeing that need escalate a little bit with, maybe some other living situations they were in. They may not have had the privacy aspect that is really being amplified with this kind of social distancing. I think that even though after we're over COVID-19 as being a kind of a global issue, I think there's still going to be best practices that are maintained, and society will likely change to meet that reflection. I think as it pertains to student housing, particularly out in Ithaca, people and students are going to be looking for that privacy option to make sure that even though maybe social distancing isn't mandated, they have the option whether to participate in that or not, or at least their immediate living environment they can control a lot more closely. So I think that's something interesting. We're continuing to monitor it. We're definitely not as we're not marketing in the same way that we were before. Obviously, we're adapting that to meet the demands and the kind of climate, if you will, of the news cycle and things like that. Because we're trying to be empathetic to the situation. We don't want to be crowding or seeming to be aggressive during this time. We want to be helpful, resourceful, and meeting the needs of the students that may come up.
No, and we get that. I think we greatly appreciate that that you are shifting the conversation a little bit, making sure that DMG Investments as well as other property companies are being understanding of the situation right now, certainly holding a sense of optimism, moreover just needing to be responsible during this time. I guess my final question for you is just if you have any final message for your residents, for potential future residents, anything you want to share with the audience about Odd and Ithaca.
Yeah, just a couple things. I mean, first of all, we have an in-house task force that's constantly assessing and reviewing the situation. And our number one goal is to maximize the measures that we're doing to minimize the risk of exposure and spread. So, we have daily touch bases, after every news cycle and just saying, okay, what's new out there? How can we better meet the changing expectations as we learn more about the virus, as we learn more about how it's impacting our specific communities, and how can we implement wise changes to meet those needs? So, we're doing whatever we can to meet those needs. The second thing I would say is, we're here for you. We're not going anywhere. We have on-site staffing. We have kind of reduced it to essential personnel at this time, just to make sure we're staying compliant with state and local and federal expectations there. But our operation is still in place. So if you need to have a conversation, if you need to speak with someone, if you're a resident hearing this, or if you're a future resident and you need to speak with someone, we're still there. You can schedule a meeting or a phone call with us. We're happy to talk with you. And we want to talk to you about this. These are uncertain times for a lot of individuals. And if you just need some clarity and you want to know how we're specifically going to handle your situation, please give us a call. We have a team equipped to handle those calls, and we want to hear from you. We don't want you to kind of wander around not knowing what's going on. We want to hear from you. We want to take care of your concerns. And the third thing is, I think I live in New York City. The optimism here is we're going to get through this, and I really feel strongly about that. We're all in it together. My neighborhood has really come together in a really, really amazing way. We've been helping out elderly members of the community by helping them run errands. I mean, just the kind of human aspect of this is really amazing to see. And I'm so excited to, get over this issue and see how society reacts in a large way. And having a community like Auden, Ithaca, be able to participate wherever we can and be a shining example of of a community that comes together to kind of help each other in a way, even though the idea of social distancing, it seems bizarre to kind of come together in that way. But I think just the juxtaposition of that is really really unique and special thing that we're going to be seeing. So I'm optimistic, and I'm really excited that we continue to serve our residents here in Auden, Ithaca.
Well, Christian, I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for the conversation. I'm sure our audience appreciates that information as well. Please, please, please stay safe. I mean, I'm remaining on the side of optimism as well, that this is all temporary, a matter of time, but we need to be individually responsible during this period as well. But otherwise, again, thank you so much.
Likewise, Christopher. Stay safe, be well, and I look forward to talking with you soon about how we overcame this in the end.
Once again, I'd like to thank Christian Olone. He's a regional manager for DMG Investments, which takes care and maintains Auden, Ithaca here in our local area. If you'd love to learn more about Auden, Ithaca, you can go to their website at audenithaca.com or give them a dial at 855-342-9027. For WVBR, I'm Christopher Morales.